Hi everyone, it's Kasia from Tarot Map, and I'm catching today again with our beautiful Mellissae Lucia. Hi Melissa. So if you guys follow Inspired Tarot Map, you know Melissa by now because we have already caught up, I think, twice because of the interview as well. We became good friends. So we love catching up and we love sharing with you. So this time we have a few subjects we would like to tackle during this episode of Inspired Tarot Map. Melissa's mom has just passed away, so we thought we would like to talk a little bit about death, life, and transitions, and like death initiation, which is timely for you, Melissa, but also you seem like one of my teachers when it comes to this, because it seems like these big initiations are like part of your life since your husband has passed on and Oracle of Initiation came to life. So there's this big weave with Oracle Initiation and death for some reason. But you yeah? So we would like to speak about this, and I hope you guys are going to appreciate it and learn from this. And then Melissa has produced another deluxe version of Oracle of Initiation, another meaning it will be a little bit different to the original one, which wasn't available anymore, but it's kind of like the same deck, just like new printing possibility. So maybe you show us a few of the cards so we can take a look. And also we would like to speak and finish on the lighter note and maybe speak about Deep Play Divination course, which Melissa is also running. So I've been participating in it this year, and yeah, it's been amazing. It's been so much fun, and just a lot of fun is probably one part of it, but a lot of discoveries and a lot of exploration as well, which go along with it. So we talk about the Play 2021 edition, which is coming for the next year. So that's kind of the vague plan, but we go on shaman time. We don't really have much of the structure here. Yeah. But let's maybe start with this, because, you know, when I was introducing you, Melissa, I was really thinking like, okay, the first time Oracle of Initiation comes to life, your husband dies, and you go on this total, you know, like creative healing, and then you create the deck, and now somehow you're reprinting the deck,
right?
And your mom dies, and maybe it's not, you know, connected, but somehow it just feels like in some way it's kind of Oracle of Initiation teaches a lot about all these different stages of initiation and how to deal with grief, or how to deal with loss, or how to deal with life sometimes, like COVID. Or yeah. So can you kind of, what do you think about it? How do you feel now?
Well, you know, I was excited. You and I had talked about doing this interview because the Lux edition of the deck is coming out, and you're going to have a copy of that. I got two prototypes. Kasia got one, and I got one, and she's going to get it when she goes back to Poland.
Yes,
but I was thinking about how we don't talk about death in ways that I feel are really nourishing in the Western culture at this time. And I think that's part of my draw to cemeteries, which I've had my whole life. And I realized, as I was saying, when I was thinking about you and I talking and my mom passing, it's almost 2 weeks ago, that there's this piece about liminal spaces. And for some reason, I came into this lifetime, you did, everybody who's listening to this, we all came in with this intuitive understanding and feeling, like knowing about mysticism and magic, or those spaces in between. Whereas I feel like in the general culture, that's not as recognized. It's more the physicality of who you are and what we can see, and that's what's true. And so to me, death is just as well as birth. It's at that edge of that portal. It's this liminal space. It's in between where we are having this adventure in this bodysuit, and then where we go back to source, where we go back to pure energy. And so I've realized my entire life craves that. It craves these liminal spaces, these spaces where time and space don't work like we think they do the empirical scientific, see it in its real world. And so to me, death is the greatest gift. And in a way, to me, death is going home. To me, this is not home. We won the lotto getting these suits, and it's super interesting and it's grueling. For being an empath, an extreme empath myself, pretty much all the people that are around me that come to my decks, that take my courses, that are my friends, we're all highly sensitive in a world that's really, really wounded and loud. And then we all have our own patterns of trying to deal with that. So back to the death piece, I feel like this death is this unbelievable treasure and gift of going home. Now, I don't mean to disregard that we miss the person, we miss the body, we miss the eye, we miss the laughter, we miss the sense of humor, we miss when they're a pain in the ass, maybe. But to me, I'm not terrified of death. I actually see it as this profound, sacred transformation. And so for my mom dying, I've realized I feel very territorial about my grief process. And people mean so well. You all mean so well. And all those messages, beautiful, made me feel so loved. And I'm so grateful. It made me feel connected. And you all are awesome. But I'm also not shattered. My mom and I were really different people. She had some family and early childhood wounds that were never healed. And she struggled with depression and addiction. And so she and I, we just, there wasn't like this natural chemistry between us. Although we had some things in common, we really didn't get each other. So I feel like I've been grieving my mom for years. That it's, even when she was alive, there was a sadness of, you're so awesome, but we can't access that sometimes because of your depression and your addictions, and my compassion for how hard it was for her. So in a way, honestly, I feel she's free. Like, yeah, like she's like that awesome person that she is. She's free. And now I'm going whole hog into rose color glassing her. I'm going to remember all the awesome stuff because I'm not going to be bombarded sometimes with the more challenging stuff. So I'm totally fine with this. No spiritual bypass. It's just like, now I'm going to remember all of the awesome, and her awesome was off the chart. And I really do feel like she's liberated. And I may have times of grief. My stepdad is the one that I'm really, because they're married for 49 years and he doesn't know a life without her. He's the one whose impact is much different than mine. But so I actually see death as a gift.
Yeah. So do you think that like the death of your husband when you were much younger, and obviously also much more personally affected in a sense that you lived with him, right? You like, that was like your family, the closest one you had at this moment. And do you think that it was the kind of initial introduction to how you think about death, or were you always thinking this about death? Or did you actually learn through that first big initiation for you that now it's much easier maybe not to be so scared of death, or like have this liberal opinion on it, which I agree with, because we were talking briefly before, but I was thinking the same, like I feel and I think the same about death. But I felt like I don't know how I would react, when my mom dies. I don't know. I haven't lost anyone who was really, really close to me yet. So I feel like I'm swimming in the theory lake, if we can say that, So I can think like, okay, yeah, I would react exactly this because that's, I believe that's true. But how I would really react, I might be like, I don't know.
I found that grief is really, it's a journey, and it's different at all sorts of points. And you can, because most of us have areas in our lives where we need to function, you know, that you can't just be sobbing on the floor for 4 months straight.
Yeah.
But I found that you didn't know when it would sweep in. And after Chris died, that was almost 20 years ago, I would be in the grocery store, and music can touch people so deeply. I'd be in the grocery store and some song would come on, and who even knows what it was, like Christopher Cross or something, Sailing. I can't even remember. And it would take me to my knees. Like I literally had no capacity to hold it together. And the feeling body just took over. You leave sobbing and shaking, and you leave wherever you are, if you can. And so, if you can.
On the plane.
I love playing. That's just what I was thinking. There's some place where you can't leave. Like, oh shit, I can't leave. So then you have the feelings. But this has been an interesting lifetime where I've had these. I feel like my spidey sense connection to. I believe there is this reality where we're in this body form and we're having this experience, but we're also simultaneously holographically many other things. And then there's also this other world, like the real world, the dream world of sorts, the spirit, cosmos, astral, whatever you call it. And that some of us had the top of our heads more open to go between them, to go between the ecosystems. And so this whole life, it almost feels to me like the work has been to be present to the body and the earth plane and the being a human, because the mystical spiritual stuff, that's just so natural that my job is to be present to the here and now, and not just over in the other. But when Chris died, it's, I see my journey as a journey of an empowered empath. And an empath, if you don't know what an empath is, lovely humans out there, go Google it, because you probably are one. But an empath is somebody who has a intuitive sense of energy and the world and people, to a degree that you literally feel other people's feelings. It can be with the land and animals too. It's not just humans, but usually empaths also have this journey of in feeling other people's wounds so much. And also some weird thing that we got with feeling overly responsible and really hard on ourselves, which just makes me insane. Most of us as kids learn these patterns about trying to fix others. And when you're a little kid, this is very intuitive and unconscious, because you don't understand, mom and dad are over there, I'm over here. You don't understand. So you're trying to fix people so you feel better. And a lot of empaths, myself included, have some victim stuff and some anger about taking care of everybody. But the reality is, you were just trying to take care of yourself with a skill set that you had. And so when I was younger, I didn't have very much of a sense of self, and I didn't know how to have confidence. And I was just kind of merging with everybody and letting everybody's feelings come into me unconsciously. I didn't know, nobody told me. And then, so I had extreme anxiety and depression because everybody's unresolved stuff. I was like, unconsciously, okay, there's no doorways here, you can come in. It was torture, it was hell. And so when Chris died, when I was 33, he was 37, that was the journey into embodiment. That was the journey into confidence. That was the journey into courage. That was the journey into who I always dreamed of being and had no clue how to get there. Like, I have confidence. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I prayed for decades for confidence, and just this feeling that I was enough and that I loved myself and that I was valuable. Like, my empath had no imprint. My empath was like what everybody else thought. It was a fucking nightmare. So Chris's death almost killed me, but it opened the pathway, and I found the courage and the craziness in a good way to do this incredible journey, to land in an empath who's unbelievably intuitive, but has a sense of self and is not owned and run by everybody else. So that initiation with Chris taught me that what looks like the worst thing in the world that can happen to you may be your liberation if you do a process. Now, here's the thing. When that shit hits the fan, you got to do some stuff to change. It doesn't just, I mean, some of it comes unbidden. The spirits give you gifts. The angels give you gifts. Some of it is you got to put your big boy or big girl panties on and you got to go do it. You got to do the things that scare you. You got to look at where your shadow is. You know, it's an invitation, but you have to take and I took the invitation. So now with my mom dying, I'm not even in the same solar system as a human. So there's almost like no comparison in a way. And my relationship was different. And I didn't see all of this future and children and a husband for my whole life. And, you know, like all this stuff, I didn't see that with my mom. You know, it was almost, as I say, more of some grief about my mom is awesome and I'd like to access more of the awesome, but it's not available.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how does Oracle of Initiation then kind of ties into it? Because I found that, like, I still like sit here and think, fuck, it did happen again. Like, you reprint the big thing. It's not that you created it again, but it's just so funny that you reprinted the big one, the first that you ever had. Like, you know, the tarot one came like in between kind of, but
right.
And I'm like, oh wow. And to me, this deck is so transformative. So in some way, even to me, it's like a mirror. I'm like, oh wow, this is like, you know, I haven't thought it through. I just like said it and I'm thinking, fuck, there's something amazing about this, like, you know, the cycle that comes again.
And you know, what's funny is I hadn't and it was just under 2 weeks ago that my mom died. And also it was a shock with her dying is that she was going in for surgery that was supposed to be very, very safe. So I came up, I'm in the Pacific Northwest now, where she lived. And so I had a sense, I mean, I did have a sense she's going, anybody who goes in the hospitals are not the safest place to be, even pre-COVID. But so I had a sense, but I really didn't think that she was going to. But, you know, so what happened with the Oracle of Initiation process, that 7-year process where I did the 70,000 ritualistic images down in graffiti tunnels on the land, that whole process, that earthen body experience, that erotic of being fully alive, like a woman in my body with the earth, that whole process, that created something in me when the courage and the confidence came enough that I wasn't terrified and clutching all the time and like being a perfectionist to try to control things because I was terrified. When more faith in the journey and radical trust in myself and my ability to emotionally, because I feel emotions like an acid trip as an empath. So that's the fear, is that the emotions are going to kill me. And so what happened in this journey after Chris's death, which was, as I say, the greatest challenge of my life, one of them, and then the greatest gift, is that now I crave change. I crave it. Like I literally, every couple of years, I either need to move, I need a big ass project that's going to amaze me. I need now, like I literally, like there's something in my psyche that needs change, like scream, you know, please change. And that's basically the antithesis of most of our culture. Most of our culture is terrified of change because there's so much fear implanted and so much control. I'm not saying that people themselves are defective. I'm saying the system is defective. The system wants to have you terrified and controlled. And so this level of confidence and joy in my creative conduit abilities has me craving change. So I don't mean to sound warped with this, but it was like, oh, like my mom's passing is like, oh, it's a big change now.
Yes.
Wow, what's going to happen? am I going to move somewhere else? Like, I'm not terrified of it. Like, I've seen so many gifts. I'm like, yes. And like I say, some people watching this, you may be offended. I have a friend a dear, dear friend, Karen Castellone, who lost her son 3 years ago to an opiate death. Opiates are, the addiction to opiates are a huge issue with young people, all people, but, and drug deaths, drug overdoses and things. And her son died in a drug situation where he wasn't supposed to, supposed to. But she has this perspective about death, which I have also, which is when someone dies that you love, our job being, and of course we grieve them. Like I say, I never, ever disregard that you miss them. And a loss of a child, I can't even imagine it. My tenderness, humble. And through Karen, and I agree, this is an invitation to rock your life in celebration for them. And that's what I did when Chris died. After the first year, when I was in Bardo, when I was in limbo, and I wanted to die. After that, my life is devotion in motion. It is a celebration of this sacred body and this ability to be alive and connect. And it's a celebration of that they're on the other side now, but this life is going to be a walking prayer and honoring of my love for them. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like the Oracle of Initiation is all of that. Like, it's about how to deal with challenges, but also how to see your brilliance, like how to rock this complexity and these polarities that our culture doesn't understand, which is death is a loss. You do lose that person. You will not look in their eyes unless you're a mystic and you see it other places. But you will, in theory, not look in their eyes anymore. And they're on the greatest adventure of their lives. And this is a gift for you to get past your own fears and insecurities and rock your life to honor yourself and them.
Yeah, oh, that's beautiful. Beautifully said. And I think, for many people, maybe it's not new what they hear about death. For some people, I agree. For some people, it can be even offensive or just triggering because they might be going through their own grief process and really suffer. I just think everybody goes probably through grief differently, as you said, like it comes and you don't even expect it and it's sudden, and then it's, I don't know, I've read somewhere, because I'm also fascinated with dying process and with death, and I read somewhere that, kind of grief never ends in some way, it just transforms. So like it could have been for 20 years that you've been going through different stages of grief, and even the way you see death might be part of grief and grieving process of how it opens us up. And so I think it's really interesting to think about it. And as I always say, I wish there were deaf schools, there were, like we all are going to die. This is like the only thing we know that it's going to happen to us, for sure. We don't know when, which is great, because this knowledge, I think, would be just horrible to live with. I mean, I don't know, but I think so. But the mystery of it makes life kind of pretty unique and beautiful. So I wanted to actually move to this Oracle of Initiation from that, because it somehow, I don't know, just reminds me, if I were to pick one tarot card and just say, can you hear me well? Yeah, because I don't know, should I make it? Yeah, if I was to pick one tarot card and just say, this is for Oracle of Initiation, I would probably pick Death card, but also I would pick probably the World card or the Star card. Like there is just this combination of both, and that creative aspect of any process that you go through. Like it doesn't have to be as deep as the dying process or something, but even like a losing of job or losing a partner or breaking up with someone, and like it's always a small death, right? Or even orgasm, right?
Yeah, right.
Doesn't even have to be the bad thing. But I think in this sense, Oracle of Initiation is like an amazing deck with this depth to actually take you on this journey and to somehow acknowledge those kind of weird feelings that you go through, from like maybe ecstasy to like sadness and profound despair, or like some, you know, victimhood and feeling shitty and small yourself and whatever that can go. So can you show us how I'm going to change the gallery view. Like I would like to see the new deck, which is waiting for me at home.
Yes.
That's in Poland, meaning not in Croatia, where I'm at right now. But I think we froze. Okay, we're back. We had some technical dropout.
Technical moment. So the deck started in 2006, and then it was released in 2012 or 2020 now. And there were some different. The original cards were made as 4x6 postcards, because that was right on the edge of when print on demand was starting to be more accessible. And I wasn't aware of printing card companies that were easy to deal with at that time. And so you have a set of those. Those are the original big ones. And then I made the smaller ones that you just showed, the tarot size. I crowdfunded in 2014 for those. And the back on the new ones is going to be the same as those.
Oh, that's good. Because the old one, I'm sorry, wasn't very, I didn't like it much, but this one is also like, oh,
yeah, it was designed in 2010, and
I know, different times. I get the idea behind it, because it was like Oracle of Initiation that play with the words.
Yeah, it was
supposed to be much nicer.
You know, I work with MK Barr, and she's my graphics person, so we collaborate. But so these cards, the thing that was amazing in having done cards that were dramatically bigger and then quite a bit smaller, and the proportions are different on those, is the artwork comes across completely differently. There's a power and a presence to the bigger cards, like kind of like in a good way, like a demand, like here I am, like there's a brightness, and just was the quality of printing, all of the above. I had no idea that they would read so differently. Now, some people like this smaller tarot size, one, because it fits in their hands. That's a big thing for a lot of women who do divination. But two, this one's gentler to me. It doesn't call you out as strongly. It's more like, hey, come here. Because the deck actually scares people. The people who the deck belongs to, they lose their stuff. But the deck scares a certain number of people, or they just don't get it. They're like, I don't get it. There's not very many photography decks. So partly you are part of this, Kasia, in you, Nina, Natalia, Hetien, what's her name? Buddhist, what's her name? Jiang. People on Instagram, and YouTube, you guys started sharing the deck more. And you said, how did I miss this deck? It's been out 8 years and I've never seen it. Yeah. But you all started sharing it more, and it was a lot more hidden. And I think it's just a timing thing where the deck wanted to be seen. There was this merging of you, like my long lost best friend. And so the deck is being seen more, is being ordered more. And so I decided to print 1,000, which there wasn't enough demand to print 1,000. And I travel a lot, so like carrying around 1,000 decks was too much. But I decided, and I'm super excited. And so I got a prototype, which, as we said, you're going to have, and it's going to have a box, which is just nuts. It never had a box before, and the back is really lovely. You can't tell with the light in here if you can see them. So that's good. We've got Elegua Eshu on the cover, so in doing the deck, so this is a big secret reveal that nobody, like 3 people have known this up until now, but now you all are going to know. And the decks, I don't know when the decks are coming, people. I'm not going to open orders until they come. So that may be December, I hope, December 2020. But with COVID, who knows? Could be January. They'll come, but I don't know when. So also don't bug me, because I have no control here. I can't control this. But in making the new deck, one of the things is the gateway. Will you show one of the gateway cards from the tarot size? So I did the gateway cards. So this is a shape from the Sami, which are the Laplanders, the Scandinavian, one of the last places that shamanism, they called themselves the Nawadi and things. But this is a symbol on their drums. They had drums that were alive, amazing diviners. And this is like they call it a lavo. It's like their teepee. If you were in North America, you'd call it a teepee. But this is a Scandinavian version because, all nomadic people had dwellings that moved. And so the gateways were about this humble, like hide dwelling, but it's the portal to transcendence. It's that paradox. It's becoming more earthen to ascend. That's the paradox of the earth plane experience. Feel your emotions more. It will help you to become more embodied, have more integrity, all of that. So people, though, a lot of people, and you're the same way, are like, they get disappointed when they see a gateway card because it's not this luscious, painted body, magical, mystical spirit looking back at you like, oh, it's a symbol, it's a color, it's not that exciting. And very few people have told me, but the people who have told me are fanatics about the deck. So that means to me pretty much almost everybody else feels that way. They just didn't feel they had a relationship to tell me something like that, which is hilarious. So I love the old gateways, but when we were redoing them, MK said, well, why don't we change them? I was like, oh my gosh, we could change them. So it took us maybe a month to figure out how to change them, but we changed them. And so now the gateway cards, you're not getting those little symbols, humans.
Oh my.
You're getting, this is all one photo shoot. This is called the owl dance, and you'll see. So that's the first one. So if you can you see my pelvis? I painted it like an infinity sign.
Yeah.
It was a black and white infinity sign, and I'm down in the graffiti tunnels in Santa Fe. But when I saw the pictures later, it looked like an owl, like my pelvis is an owl. So I call it the owl dance. So these are all from that one same shoot, and they all correspond to the different gateways. This is one of the absolute best ones. This is the Gateway of Alliance Communion. So this is about your spiritual guides and support and family. It's like calling them in. So this is a game changer for the deck. And as I say, I think most people are going to love them. There's going to be, because people are like this and people have had the deck since 2010, there's going to be people who are like, you changed my deck. It's like, use your old deck. I love you. Use your old deck.
Definitely.
So
you still kept the little symbols, right? Can you show us the bottom of the
down? So like this is the parallel for what you have. Let's see if we
maybe a bit further away from you, it will be better, I think, Melissa. Yeah,
like that, honey?
Yeah.
Is that good? Can you see it? It's down there.
Yeah, and it's the same as it was on the old
same as that, just smaller, and it'll still correspond with the book. It all works with the 400-page book.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. I mean, I kind of got to love the old gate cards now. But I was also a bit like, now I love them. But I will be curious to work with the new ones too, because I always started feeling about them after we had this interview, also before interview, the old ones, when you were explaining how, they were so important, and like this is the very special one when you pull a
major arcana. It's a major arcana.
I kind of like got it into my system, and somehow I was excited to see them, but it's still, I think it will be even nicer to have a little kind of image to go with it, and still have.
You're the oddball, and I say that with great love. And as I say, I think people who are real symbolists, and to me, it's all of this is like petroglyphs and rock art and all of these ancient things. And so both the painted body images are like Dreamtime, or like as if they're petroglyphs coming alive off the cave wall, the Shining Tribe, like, Rachel Pollack. And then also those are also very, you could see that sort of an image on a cave wall or on a Sami drum. So but that's, so you got the big reveal, but the deck the colors are amazing. They're all a consistent size. They have the, once again, the gateways, the color coded at the bottom, which is really, that's missing from the smaller deck. It just, the smaller deck, it just didn't have the space to do that. But this helps you understand some of the structure of the deck in a way that's very intuitive and really quite wonderful. And it's just, this deck's slightly smaller than those original 4x6. It's 3.5 by 5.5. So it's just slightly, but they're all the same size. They have the Sami symbol of the moon on the back from one of the Sami drums.
Beautiful.
And
so do you have also these two?
Yep, those are there. And then also partially because you poked me, which was wonderful. Something that was in the original one, let me find it, which is super helpful. I was just a little burnt out and feeling a little lazy, to be honest. But there is, this card explains the journey through the different realms in the deck. So it's just got a little synopsis. And then it's color coded. I can't know if you can tell with this light, but it's color coded to the color that's at the bottom of the card. So if you are trying to remember, you just want a quick synopsis. If you don't even have the book, you can just read this and get that's what this whole section is about. Because it's the Oracle of Initiation, it's a journey of moving through, like the major arcana, moving through these developmental stages of becoming more integrated and more true to yourself, so that you're a clearer conduit, so that you're able to be your voice, but also receive transcendent information from all that is. And so it's really, it's a guidebook, like it's a mystery school teaching you about how to reframe challenges and to find power in a way that is more of a spiritual law than earth plane law.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of my best ever, favorites ever, top 5 decks, and you know how many decks I have. But yeah, I would not kind of move without this deck. And so it's like I took the smaller version because it's easier to, carry. And but I usually tend to use the larger version because I agree with what you said before, that somehow the bigger image just, I don't know, it's just a statement. It's more striking somehow, but this one is easier to take it with you. And I know that like you will never please everybody, but some people prefer not to have any colors and any things on the cards. I actually, because it is the gate kind of connection, I liked that little color ribbon kind of on the bottom of the card, so that kind of makes me know, okay, so this is this part of the story, where
exactly. That's it. This is this. Now, how do you use, when you think of the Oracle of Initiation? I mean, you've done reviews and you've talked about it, but because I made it, also it's hard for me to articulate it because there's like not a lot of distance. It's why a doctor doesn't usually operate on their own child if they have a choice. I don't always even know how to explain it. Like how do you explain the Oracle? Like what does it do for you? Why do you love
it? Because I'm as weird as you. And when you said that people were afraid of it, I even remember when I started posting with it, how many of people who I thought would love it, I mean, they love it now, and you guys know who you are. Don't laugh at me and don't laugh at yourself. Forgive yourself. You'll be fine. My good friend, But yeah, they were a bit like taken aback, like, oh, no. But then, of course, like most of them fell in love with it. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get used to this like weirdness of the images. Like they are a bit like kind of ghostly, But I guess also when you know who made them and the whole process of it, the book is so amazing. I tend to I wanted to ask you, do you actually sell your Oracle of Initiation class? Or when you did it then this one time, do you have it for free?
I will set it up. The last year, and we haven't talked about COVID yet either, but
because
the last year,
before the deep play, the Oracle of Initiation class. The one I'm talking about.
Yes, it was before deep play. For some reason, September last year, 2019, I had come back to New Mexico, and I didn't realize I was coming back to New Mexico. I'd been traveling and teaching, so I really didn't have a base, which part of me likes. And then September of last year, this absolute rocket ship of it's probably one of the most creative years of my entire life, where the Santos decks came through. Had no idea the Santos decks were. I woke up September 18th last year, and the spirit said, you'll be making a prototype for a deck now with those cemetery images. And I went, okay. Wasn't on my radar at all. And now there's 3 Santos decks, and Madonnas and Virgins is one of them. That happened. Then the deep play course came. Didn't realize I was doing a year-long course. This was late fall, early winter. The spirits pop up and they say, Miss Conduit, we've got a really cool class that you should do. We're going to give you. The thing is, this was in a reading with another person. For some reason, because people's ego tends to be the controlling, fearful ego, because I think you need some ego. You need some healthy ego to be separate and go out in the world and do things. I don't think I'm not of the camp of annihilating the ego. I'm of the camp of the ego being in service of the intuition and the instinct. So my ego, for some reason, though, that's usually who, like people, it shuts them down. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of not being good enough. So they don't do stuff. My ego has no problem with almost limitless creative ideas. Like my ego doesn't try to block it for some reason. And when the person in the reading said this to me, I went, oh, that's true. I'm not complaining. I almost have too many ideas. Like my problem is, and I love content, so I tend to overload people with content. Sorry, I'm working on it. But I'm obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed with exploration. I'm obsessed with innovation. I'm insane in a good way. I own it. But so then the deep play course comes, and there's a lot to do for the deep play course. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But so
the Oracle Initiation class.
Oh, so the Oracle Initiation class. So there is still some content that I just have been on this rocket ship of doing all this other stuff where I just haven't even had time to format it to offer it out. But I may offer it to people who order the new deck at some sort of a special cool price. Let me think about that, because I know you loved that class, and I loved it too.
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to say, that, like it actually taught me a lot of how to use the Oracle and how to, like, at least various ways of using it and how deep you can go with it. And I thought, like, it's a really cool class. It was one of my favorite of your classes, and I'm excited, for that coming one during the deep play of this year, which is going to be kind of with the Oracle as well, whenever the decks come and, whenever that happens. But I think that this is one thing you could think of, that when the decks arrive, maybe you could prepare the class, either live again or just, have it.
I wrote myself a note.
Yeah.
I live with Post-its.
It's great. And it was really fun to, kind of think about it.
That's a great idea.
Do readings, I was so inspired. I remember that I was doing readings only with Oracle of Initiation. The way, like, what do you, when you, like, you taught us this little spread about, like, what you think and what you really know, like this kind of reading. And my friends loved it. Like, so I usually pull, as you know, I'm mixed, right? So I rarely just use Oracle of Initiation for itself. Yeah. I usually would pull one card, I would definitely check out the book and what you wrote there and the little intro of the other person, whoever was invited to write about the card. And I usually, for exploration, would go for the, the Guardian. So I would probably do some research about the Guardian if I didn't know enough. And I would pull cards to like, what are you telling me now? Like, like, what do you want me to know? Or what do you want me to do? Or what do you want me to explore deeper? So I would usually pull more. Sometimes I would pull more from Oracle of Initiation, but I find it's sometimes too rich, even to, like, you get too much information because they
like the weavers. They're the weavers.
Yeah, exactly. So, I usually like to have a few, but I always pull like one of each, like Weaver's Oracle for each month over the year. In January or whenever winter solstice, I would pull 12 for my whole year. Sometimes I would pull like whenever, like if I really feel like I'm in deep shit or something, like I feel down. This is definitely one of the decks I would be reaching for like honest, but also like creative, and that speaks to me. Like I don't want to just sit there like a victim, and I want to be told, oi, or poor you, lie down, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's cool with me too. Like I don't have to be always go and do something about it. But it's really lovely because it has such a variety of cards and such a variety of emotions.
Sure.
I find it's amazing. So I would, if people have it, I would try and mix it with even tarot deck, like your favorite tarot deck, and ask your tarot cards what the Oracle of Initiation is telling you right now on this day,
Absolutely. It mixes beautifully. And I'm in love with Theresa Pridemore's Sovereign Oracle, which is a very simple, deceptively simple and deep deck that is just a single word about the creative process. There's 96 cards. She just crowdfunded to add some new additions to the deck, but the original was 96 cards. And it's the deck that I always wanted to make.
I will show it. Just one sec.
Sure. So the Sovereign Oracle by Theresa Pridemore, she's in Portland, one of my favorite people. And this deck, as I say, when you see it, it's not very often that I see a deck that I go, oh, I wish it's like Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic, The Artist's Way. It's like before I die, I hope to make my own sort of versions of The Artist's Way and Big Magic. But this is all of these 96 different terms about creativity and how to approach a creative project, how to open up your perspective about them. And it's deceptively brilliant. It's simple, but this also works very well with the Santos decks. I think Nina from Shuffle Tarot on YouTube and Instagram, she was the one who figured that out because the Santos don't have any descriptions. So the Sovereign Oracle, which she named after my deck. She named her business and her deck after this card, the Nawadi, the Sami.
See, I didn't know that.
She named it after her business and the deck. She's like you. She's one of my people. I love that woman.
Yeah. And the expansion decks she did.
So excited.
So cool. I'm excited also. Waiting.
And another, we'll talk about the deep play course in a minute, but both you and she and a bunch of other amazing folks are going to collaborate on the course this year on the calls. If you sign up at the middle level or higher, you get the live calls, and then there's a bonus I'll tell you about. But Theresa's going to be one of the presenters. You're going to be one of the presenters. So there's just like the community, the daydream believing deep play community. It's going to be so juicy this year.
Exciting. This is really cool. And I love that you expanded for this collaborative kind of moment level, because it's always fun. And I think it's a little bit like Brilliance Academy.
Exactly.
Come and study with us.
And play. Come play.
But that's really cool.
Deep play.
So let's actually move, so we don't extend it forever.
Right. I know. Sorry.
Let's finish on, as we said, on the lighter note. So tell us about the deep play. So for 2021 edition, we did the interview, the second one, I think we do mention, or do we just speak about Santos? Can't even remember anymore.
I can't remember anymore. No, it
because
was a little while.
You were pushing out these projects like so quickly. I was like, what? You did the Santos deck? What? You did the other one? What?
My conduit's been very busy the last year. And that's just, those are just part of it. I'm not even talking about the psychedelic historic churches in New Mexico and all of that.
So Deep Play 2021, tell us, like, what is it for people who, let's say, never heard of it, like just
haven't heard of
like juice.
So I believe that we teach what we need ourselves. If you are a teacher or a guide of some sorts, and this goes back to the Oracle of Initiation, your greatest challenges can be your greatest gifts if you find what the gift or the power or the magic or the compassion is in it, you know. It, and so for me, play is the antidote to that perfectionist side of me, that controlling side of me, the side that wants to like lock down outcomes. And our culture really says that we're supposed to control things, and that's how you get the most power and you're the best person, is you control and you drive. It's very masculine, imbalanced masculine. And so the deep play course to me is what I need and what I believe we all need. You know, like to me, service is something where it serves you and it serves others. Like if it doesn't serve you, there's some problem here because you need to be fed. And so for me, play has always been, and I use play broadly, like creativity, divination, exploring the world in really new ways, being adventuresome, pilgrimages. To me, that's all sacred play. Like we're talking about in the deep play, this is the going into those liminal spaces. That's going into the magic. Like what's the magic that's unique to each of us, which is different. And then how do you play with that power? And how is your life informed by this ability to trust this other set of, I say rules very lightly, but this other set of ways to navigate the world? And so play, presence, and pleasure is at the center of it. So the course is this. It's a 10-month long course. And the title of it for 2021 is Deep Play 2021, Art, Oracles, and Adventures in Imaginative Authority. And so what that means is that the course sends you all of this yummy stuff because I love stuff. I love creating products. I love merchandise. My inner child thinks that decks are the most, I didn't play with decks until I was, you know, in my 20s, but as a child, there was lots of talismanic magical things in my German grandparents' Grimm's fairy tale house. And we did play cards. And so for me, these little playful magical things that your inner child just loses their stuff about, they are to guide us as adults. I call myself a mystical Montessori teacher. So I send you these materials physically in the mail, anywhere in the world.
Hello.
Well, not anywhere in the world, because actually we can't ship to some places during COVID, oddly enough, but probably you're okay. I can send it to you. But so we get these materials that look playful, maybe light, goofy, strange, unknown, but we take them and we play with them in ways that they teach us about ourselves. They teach us how to navigate the world. They show us where our confidence and our courage can be expanded. For empaths, the group is a sanctuary. It's like the people who come to my work are sweethearts. I get the kind people for whatever reason. I get the empaths. You know, we all get to work on having more confidence and being less, you know, over accommodating, which empaths tend to do. But the people are kind, they're curious, they're respectful, like the most amazing people ever. So the course is this journey of exploring who you are and your magic and your intuition and your instincts through all of these playful things. But it's surprising how accurate and how powerful the playful processes could be. And you can talk about this because you've been making your inner child deck. I mean, you did it last year, you're going to do it this year. Like, what would you say about the deep play?
Well, I just wanted to I was going when you were saying that you sent us stuff, and I said a lot of stuff because it was just so much fun. Like, you're right, like this inner child that was kind of excited because you have sent a lot of creative, really, like we got like a bag full of different cards, but awesome cards, not like some little playing cards or something, like really amazing tarot oracle mix when you could make your own funky fortunes. You sent these amazing stickers which were so funny that created my inner child cards, you know, because they were based mostly on whatever you sent out. So, or the Santos doll, which was so amazing to make, which we still are going to maybe discuss in the class anyway, but it was just really fun to wait for the little parcels to come and then go. Even it's funny, like I just found it in one of my booklets, you know, like from when we were doing divination song, like the songs and stuff.
Song divination.
And it says,
Yep.
here we go again, creation. And I thought, oh, we should like glue it, and that should be our.
You need a tattoo, baby. That's tattoo worthy. Yeah, right there.
Sorry, got too excited. I thought like my forehead is shiny enough, maybe it will stick, but it didn't.
It'll stick.
But yeah, so I think it's interesting what you say, that sometimes simple things, like for example, that writing with non-dominant hand, to me it was such discovery. I've never tried it before. Maybe, you know, maybe I'm slow, but I just never thought of it. And it delivered, you know, through exercises we did during the class, it delivered such unexpected messages to me, which was kind of, you know, simple, like you just wrote a few sentences, but I was really taken aback. So there were definitely some deep things that came out of playing, and at the same time also playful things that came out of seemingly deep things. So it's really a great way to kind of play and develop and not care so much, but then yet learn. And yeah, the group is lovely. So I would definitely highly recommend it, not just because I'm taking part in it and you're my friend, but I really think especially for people who are a bit too like afraid to branch out or be creative, or, you know, do something like with not a very straight line, but like a little bit fucked up line, then it just frees you somehow, and teaches you a bit more confidence, and just like kind of taking it as it is sometimes.
Well, it's that the thing is, one of my phrases is get the fuck out of the way, in that, as I say, you know, like I say, my coping mechanism was to try to be perfectionistic and control things. That was how, and I'm pretty powerful in that arena. I track a lot. I have a systems mind. Like there can be some management of life. I mean, I'm laughing, you know, tell God your plans and she's going to laugh at you. But my whole reason for doing it is to get out of the way of the potentials that we have. It's like, I feel like people do so much work to fix what's wrong. We need to do play to illuminate what's right. We need to do things that remind us of this natural, it's called intrinsic motivation. It's when you love something and you do it just because you love it. You're not going to get a grade or praise or external validation. You just freaking love it. And that's my goal, is to inspire more of that in myself and others. And I also did the course, well, for multiple reasons. One, I'm a thrift store fanatic. So now for my business, I can thrift store shop like crazy and find super cool stuff. I have the best thrift store karma ever. And also it was to make community. I've been writing a book. I don't know if the book will get written, but it's called Wasting Time. And it's about this journey of playing to become more embodied and true to yourself. And then when you have that confidence as this very intuitive, creative person, then we're all to come together and create things. I call it the radiance revolution. The thing is that a lot of empaths and highly sensitive, intuitive, creative people are so overwhelmed with the world and haven't brought their pieces together to have this confidence that's really solid enough for them. They tend to want to hide. Most highly creative, intuitive people, myself included, it's just easier to just isolate yourself. But we can't do that. And so I did the course also to have more playmates, to have more people and it's happened, is the inspiration that I've gotten from the first round. You guys are astonishing. I mean, the projects that you do, and as I say, I'm the Montessori teacher, the mystical Montessori teacher, but it's up to you what you do with the projects. I'm not spoon feeding this to you. To trust your instincts, you have to claim a certain level of confidence and power. And that's what the journey is about, is to trust. And you need time also, you know, the 10 months and the 4 different sections. And one of the things in the course, but one of the things that's going to be part of it is, and another thing, how many things did I do last year? Another deck came through where I went and looked through some of the painted body images again that were in the Oracle of Initiation, and I found about 300 good ones that I had missed. I don't know why they didn't go in the first deck. I didn't think I had that many other super, super good ones, and I did. And so I'm making this, I don't know what the title will eventually be, but the course, like they're in, some of them are in sections. So these once again are the painted body images, but y'all have never seen these because these are new ones that, so everybody who takes the Deep Play course is going to get a copy of the prototype of this. And it's very prototypey. I did, like this is a prototype that's in the big Oracle cards, but it has 8 different realms that parallel with the Oracle of Initiation. But this is very specifically about creative, being a conduit, bringing through visionary ideas, about not worrying the process, trusting the journey, getting out of the way, having a new set of ideas, you know, paradox and things. And the Deep Play course is going to help me to write and create and design just through the feedback you give me. I'm going to gather what you guys say, and because my other deck took me 6 years, you know, so this is, you know, 8 months in or something. So that's very, very exciting. So practical things about the Deep Play course. I'm doing, before I came up to Seattle and my mom passed, I recorded a video about paradox and about these 3 central pieces about paradox that will help you to look at the world in a different way, and to me a more spiritually nuanced and powerful way when you are doing these paradox. Like one of them is the small is the mighty, is that in a spiritual perspective, we have a culture that's very loud. Supersize me. The loudest bully is the one who wins and gets the most money, and, you know, all these things that are supposedly valuable, the most valuable. But actually, when big change comes, it's usually strange, unexpected, or subtle. And there's a whole, I'll explain the reasons. There's amazing reasons why it doesn't come and say, hey, your life is never going to be the same and you are going to change to a degree that will stun you. There's a reason that it doesn't come like, well, because we'd hide. But so I've done this webinar that I'm going to start offering within the next couple of weeks. And that's some really great teachings. And then it will talk at the end of it some more about the Deep Play course. And there's 3 levels this year. Last year I just had 1 level, but I'm going to do 3 levels because I also wanted a more affordable level because of COVID, and for lots of people to come play. The price is amazing for being part of the group in the process. And the other thing is I'm doing 3 bonuses that sometimes online courses, it's hard to be dedicated to them, you know, that life takes over or you just kind of lose your momentum. And so I'm doing, and so Kasha, you're presenting on one of these. I call them afternoon immersions. So it looks like it's 4 hours on paper, 3 times. I think it was January and March and June or something like that. But we're going to do a 4-hour, everybody who takes the course, everybody who signs up, you just get these because this is going to help you be successful, where it's this 4-hour process where we'll get some process, some materials, something to do. Then you'll go away, you know, we'll do it on Zoom. You'll go away and do it. And then we'll come back and we'll share, and then we'll do another thing. So Kasha's going to do something. I think Kasha's April maybe, with those.
I'm April now.
You're April. Is that your stripper name? That's your stripper name. But so that's really also, that's an amazing value to have those for everyone, to keep you motivated, keep you excited, have you connected to the community. So as I say, I'm still getting together some of the structural things about signing up and the pages and everything, but always watch Instagram. Just follow either of us on Instagram and it will be there.
Yeah. And also I think
we're excited.
Are you going to do this year? Sorry, this year, are you going to do the newsletter? And you always, I would advise people also to sign up for your newsletter, because like you don't spam with your newsletter, but you always send the first dips and the information when something is coming and, you know, it's happening. If people wanted a deck as well, Instagram is definitely a great place to go because the info is always there. But I think the newsletter is also a safe bet, because you do send those out.
You get the first notice, and sometimes
you give some discounts, sometimes you give some first dips, and so people should sign up.
So that's MellissaeLucia.com, and so if you just do www. and you have to go find how to spell Mellissae Lucia.
I will link it.
MellissaeLucia.com, and there's a pop-up that says sign up. I send newsletters about once every month or two, so you certainly, if you sign up for an event, you're going to get more emails. But the newsletter, I'm just too busy making content to do the newsletter all the time. So that's, but it's the, other than Instagram, it's the most current, valuable access to information if you want to.
But as you said, like, I'm going to advertise, you are going to put it on Instagram as well. I'm pretty sure Nina as well from Shuffle Tarot. So the information will be out there. And I think we're going slowly to wrap it up. Do you still want to talk about COVID, or should we leave it? Like, what's your feel?
Do you feel like you have, I mean, I just feel like it's been such a surreal, and like we said, really fast shift in the outer culture. And I think, I think for people who are highly sensitive, that there are, ways that we're dealing with this, floating through this, not dealing with this. And I just think it's always interesting to hear how other people are navigating it, because it's such a dramatic shift in the outer overculture. Do you have anything that you feel like would be really helpful or interesting to share?
Well, I think for myself, I'm a maybe a little bit different perspective altogether, because you guys in America, most of the audience is in America. It's different. I'm in Europe, and we went on lockdown really quickly, like straight away. You guys were still like, life goes on as usual. And when we were already on lockdown, now it kind of shifted, like we kind of not on lockdown and you're not on lockdown, but the cases are happening. We have a little bit more cases because there's flu season and stuff. So we left Poland. We moved to Croatia for a few months. We can travel in Europe between countries, not all of the countries, but a lot of countries. And so I'm living in a little village. Like, I don't even feel COVID exists. Like, it reminds me only that I have to wear a mask in the shop, but other than that, there's no people. There's the sea, and I swim, and I have 5 neighbors who walk normally, so I'm having this weird kind of perspective, how I feel like I'm in some parallel reality, which, but also I never was scared so much. I don't know why, I just wasn't, and I wasn't listening to much news. Maybe the first 2 weeks, when it was all kind of coming in March or in February, end of February, because it just was new and you didn't know what's going on. But later on, I just thought that's life, right? And exactly this, I thought well, I don't know when I'm going to die, if I'm going to die out of COVID or not out of COVID or whatever. I just still want to live my life as much as I can. So as soon as the borders were open, we came to Croatia in July once, we came back to Poland, we stayed for a month, and then we came here again. So I'm kind of like a bad person. I thought if people listening to me and they're in Melbourne on lockdown, they might even go, oh, shut up, bitch, don't annoy us. Because it really depends on where you are collectively in the world and how much you can or cannot do certain things. So I was lucky enough that I could do these things, but if I couldn't, I would probably be at home and just trying to do things over internet, still stay connected to people like this even, and that's what would be probably my advice. That, as an astrologer, I just mentioned quickly, collectively, COVID just is speeding up certain things that are coming, I think, from where we're going. And 2020, it feels like, in the time glass, we're in this tiny little squeeze through. And we're moving from one set of huge cycles, which are ending this year and beginning this year or next year, beginning of next year. We still like having our head out yet, but we're moving from the earth, from this more kind of grounded, financial, money, old systems, into air element, which is all internet, which is all quick exchange of information, which maybe is science fiction coming our way like much faster than we ever thought about it. And I think in some way COVID just showed us how quickly we can adjust. We didn't know that we can put half of the world on like education or internet, that children don't have to go to school and they will be studying through Zoom. Nobody was prepared for this like this. So in some way, COVID like just showed us we can do it like that. The world can stop like this, nature can renew like this. Like it was just this like pound, like little snippets of what's possible and what we can still do. So even though it feels like such a doom and gloom, I still think exactly like what you were saying about death, like that there's this possibility and that there is this different side to it as well, which collectively we can do, but also each one for ourselves to pick up that kind of the other side as well and develop this. And sometimes, you don't feel like it. Sometimes you want to just lie and cry and you over this shit, but then, it goes in waves, right? So yeah, I was going through different, we talked when I was down like crazy. So it's not like I was always up and rose-colored glasses. So no, but it's an interesting journey, and also to look at it from those bigger cycles, that we collectively part of. So how about you?
Yeah. Sorry. There you are.
Yeah, I think
it came back. Good. The parallel universe piece is perfect. That's exactly it. I'm already a major introvert. I have I'm like an introvert who's 20% an extrovert. So like when you see me teach or you see me at a conference or something, you're going to see the extrovert. And I didn't know I was an introvert for years because that extrovert's so strong, as I'm a Leo, as for my son. So that there really is this personality with others. But for the most part, as an empath and an introvert, I just kind of want to be left alone. Like I just want to like be in my energy field and, love you all from afar. But so this parallel universe, I actually only know one person directly who's had it. And it's happening. I know it's happening, but it feels very surreal to me. And I've never been afraid of it. I'm cautious and I wash my hands and I wear my mask and I do my thing and I don't touch my face now like I used to. But I feel I'm not going to go into it, but I do feel that there's some political machinations behind it and economic machinations. But I do feel like it's this perfect storm of things that needed to change very, very quickly. And my main concern is the economic fallout for the people who are already struggling. And it's, my roommate said this amazing thing. She's an Amma follower for years and lived in India and was like in Amma's core crew for a long time, traveled with her. Like, Amma is her great mother. Amma, the East Indian hugging saint, if you don't know. Kasha loves Amma. I love Amma too.
I do.
And she was talking to me one day and she got very emotional and she said, I can't stand this world that we're in where there's a few people that it's like this game where they get some more billions of dollars and it destroys, huge percentages of people's lives. Like, how did we get to this place where the people who are seen as the most valued are hoarding and have greed and are taking so much more and taking from the earth? And I thought, yeah, how are we in a place, and we're ripe for a revolution, but I also feel like people are really being shut down and terrified and controlled very, very well. And social media does that too. So I feel like I'm in a parallel universe because And then I also get to notice my shadow and my part of myself that loves to travel, and this kind of arrogance and entitlement, my American arrogance of I get what I want when I want it, you know, some class stuff, some race stuff for sure. But there's a part of me that's like, God damn it, I want to travel where I want to travel. Well, I can't. And so, you know, but also I could just be in New Mexico for the rest of my life and we're good. So COVID, but I found also that I do my self-care. I'm having to do some more self-care because I just feel the tsunami, the energy tsunamis from everybody else's anxiety and projections and stress and judgment and economic struggles. I'm just having to do more self-care, but I'm sending love out to the other. But for me, like I say, I literally do the deep play course for myself and as an offering to others as an antidote to try to help us be a sanctuary in the storm, to help we sensitive ones have this community of people. And the deep play is not, we're not spiritually bypassing. We're not just saying, oh, shit's not happening. This is the antithesis of this, but you have to have enough feeding of yourself to be able to weather Me Too, to be able to weather and support Black Lives Matter, to support these things. You have to be functioning enough that you're not so shut down or traumatized that you don't have some feedback loop with the rest of us. So COVID's surreal. It's surreal to me.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing times we're living in, and in some way, I think world was always fucked up. Like whenever you look back to history, like are we any worse than we were? I mean, you would wish we were better because we keep knowing more, it seems, but it just doesn't go any better. Like we always had wars and we always had like, it was worse. I don't think I would want to live First World War, no. Second World War, no. Before that, no. It's like Middle Alters, no. So, like we just are where we are. And I guess we have to, as in every therapy session, right? You start where you are. And that's all we can do. Like we won't change the world like, if we don't have enough, as you said, some kind of self-preservation, but also self-love, because that's where you still have hope and you still can generate some form of positive flow for others as well, not only for yourself. But I agree with you totally that COVID teaches us, and the COVID per se, not COVID, but like just the whole situation which it created, it teaches us how to nurture ourselves better, what's really important in life, what we really need or we don't need, right? Like that we have this sense of reshifting, like retowering of what's important. And I love your deep play. And I just today received this, from Jessica Zinchuk, the Story Medicine Tarot. And she, this deck comes with like this philosophical umbrella of sacred pause, which we also experience. And how Mother Nature regenerated itself just when we stopped for the few weeks, nobody thought that it's going to
birds came back, birds that were never there.
Exactly. So, it's possible. We just have to practice that maybe feminine way, like Hetien is creating the Black Madonna. She's nearly finished with it too. It's this kind of chaos of the feminine, but also the way of the sacred pause, which Jessica is doing, she goes with menstruation, but not only, just like having the right to a sacred pause, and like how that regenerates your creativity, deep play, when you have this playfulness about life and not see everything, So it's fascinating times. Just I'm learning constantly, and I reserve the right to change my mind.
That's funny that you say that. I just watched there's a documentary on Apple TV about the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys are one of the great loves of my life. And that was what Adam Horowitz said. They were kind of idiots when they were young. I mean, they had lots of female friends, but some of the stuff was sexist, and they were just young males being dodos, and they totally own it. And he said, basically, they called him a hypocrite because he was being more pro-female. I think they always were. They just were kind of drunk and stupid for a minute. But he said, what would be a problem here is if I didn't evolve. Like, yes, I was different when I was younger. I did do some things that I totally regret, but that's it. We evolve. But so don't shame the old you. Just say, I don't, you know, give it tenderness, but say, okay, I'm different now.
Yeah, and we can do better. We can do better. And who knows, you know, we'll see where we're going. I don't hold high hopes. I don't hold high hopes for humanity. I'm sorry. But I do like hold high hopes for a certain percentage of humanity, which I think it's beautiful. It's soulful. It's amazing, and that's the people that keep me going, kind of, you know. Because
but it's the tipping point, honey.
Yeah,
is that you
yeah,
only need a certain percentage of the people
yeah.
who have a certain perspective, and it will at some point tip the rest of them. So everybody needs to watch. If you haven't watched the Blue Water, Martha Beck, Google Martha Beck sugar cubes blue water. It's this video about how transformation's actually going to happen. It's the most brilliant thing. You know, Martha Beck's brilliant, and she's written for the Oprah magazine forever. She's a transformational teacher, and she did this little 9-minute video about how the structures, the old structures, are going to crumble, and it's brilliant. Just go watch the blue water. Go be the blue water. I love you, blue water people.
And I'm the living proof of the systems falling, systems that were never meant to fall, right? The communism, who knew? 40 years of fucking grasp, and it's gone while I already survived that thing. So maybe that's why I'm not so scared of COVID. I lived wars.
Right. Yeah, right. It's a lightweight compared to communism.
Oh, that's funny. Empty shelves and no toilet paper. Lived through that. But anyway,
I love talking to you. I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you so much for coming on again. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a bit longer than usual. I'm sorry. It's just Melissa and I, we can't stop that.
Yeah,
we try to control it.
If you stopped watching 20 minutes ago, rock on. We love you.
You could have stopped the COVID conversation.
Yeah, right. You could have stopped.
Anyway, thank you so much. It was lovely to see you, Mel.
Thank you, darling.
Yeah, I speak to you probably another time when you come up with another 15 new decks. No, we talk more probably about deep play. But yeah, join us guys on Instagram, and I'm going to link all the links to you, Melissa, in the description box. So if anybody fell in love with Melissa as I did when I met her, then you can just follow her from there. So thank you so much. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will speak to you another time. Bye.